What else? Yes, sir.
We're in the technology sector, and there's been a certain amount of interest in improving our rural broadband. And how do you see that work from home is going to affect businesses as far as real estate, investments, and rural property values and things like that?
Okay, very good question. Long one, eh? It's getting warm up here, man. Take my jacket off. But, the question was technology, if I misstated, because I may not have heard everything, but the impact that we're going to see in terms of technology, how it's going to, rural broadband, how that comes along, what's happening to real estate with people working from home, all those kind of things kind of coming together. Where does all that lead us? First of all, rural broadband is extremely important. Okay, it is extremely important. We need to have universal broadband access here in Texas. Right after COVID, they formed this task force, a couple of them for the state to figure out what to do, and I was on one of them. And they gave me the task of writing the section on economic development. If you'll look it up, you'll see practically the whole thing is about investment in rural broadband. Fortunately, that language made it into the bill that we just approved bonds for to put some money into that. But that's very important because that's becoming infrastructure. That's becoming infrastructure. It's no different than in the 1930s with the REA, the development of the REA and rural electrification. It was necessary to bring electricity to rural areas for survival. The same thing with telephone service a few years later. I mean, these things become a part of what we have to have. And for rural area America not to be connected, we have to do that. There's a lot of different technologies out there. So you can do some of it with satellites, you can do some of it a lot of other ways. The difficulty, of course, is like the same thing we have with electricity and telephones, the population density doesn't justify big private investments in physical technology. And so we're having to figure out ways to overcome that. But no, it's very important. And I do think we're making a lot of progress. We've done better than a lot of states. And I think you'll see that move forward. As far as the real estate market, after COVID, obviously we all started meeting a lot more remotely and doing a lot more remotely. Where we are now is we're doing a lot less than we did in 2020 and 2021, but we're still doing a lot. I mean, like, very good example, today I had a meeting this morning, and we'll have another one this afternoon in other states. And I couldn't have done that before this technology on the days I'm doing other things. So it's very nice, it's multiplied us a lot. It has changed the office dynamic a lot in that not as many people are in an office building in a typical day. And that has a lot of implications for real estate. It's kind of a weird thing the way it works. Most companies now have evolved. In fact, the numbers came out this past week. Only 1% of the people, there's only 1% more people working from home all the time now than they were before the pandemic ever started. But there's a whole lot of 3 days in, 2 days out, or about the other way around. There's a whole lot of that. A whole lot of hybrid work, relocating offices closer to neighborhoods, that sort of thing, put some pressure on downtown spaces. All of those things are going on right now, and it's going to fundamentally change office space. A couple of things are happening. One is that although you're seeing fewer people in the office on a given day, you're seeing more square footage per person. Because people are now saying, for a while we went through, when I first started building these models back, yes, over 40 years ago, a long time ago, had to remind myself again. But I think I look pretty good for 98, don't y'all? But anyway, when you built an office absorption model, you cleared about 350 to 400 square feet of office space every time you added a new worker. And it varied by industry, but that was a rule of thumb, somewhere in that range. That got down to about 150 because of open workspaces, cubicles, job sharing, office sharing, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to go back to 350, but it's edging from about 150 up to about 200 now. Because people are saying, if you want me to come to the office, I want a door. If you want me to come to the office, I want more space between my desk and the other desk. And people are accommodating that. So you're seeing some of that. The other thing you're seeing is a lot of repurposing of office buildings. And that's just beginning to happen now with like urban residential, retail, those kinds of things, mixed use, hotels, those kind of things. It's not a simple thing to do, but people are doing it. And I think you'll see that going forward. Markets figure these things out. If you just run the numbers as, we're going to have extra office space for 25 or 30 years, it never works out that way. Back during the real estate bust in Texas years ago, in 1990, the Austin American Statesman had a headline that said Austin has a 25-year supply of commercial real estate. We're so overbuilt, we don't have to build anything for 25 years. That would have meant nothing got built in Austin before 2015. I don't know if you've been to Austin, but that's not what happened. But 3 years later, just 3 years, 1993, just 3 years after they wrote it off for years, the National Association of Industry and Office Parks did a big survey of real estate markets, and guess what the hottest real estate market in the country was in that survey? It was Austin, Texas. And all that to say, we figure this stuff out. We're not just going to let the building sit idle, and we will do things and repurpose those buildings and those sort of things. But that does have a lot of implications for real estate, for what you can justify in terms of cost and expenses and those kind of things, and structural issues. There's a lot going on there, but we're in the process of sort of sorting all that out right now. That was a long answer to a short question. I apologize. I'm guilty of that quite often.